losing for him was already bad, and losing against me was really the worst thing he could have.
For him, be second, he was the first of the losers. He just hated that. It was nothing for him but winning. He just wanted to psych his opposition, that they all think that Senna was in front of them. He had to be quickest all the time.
Ayrton would enter a corner faster than he'd ever been before and trust that something inside Ayrton Senna would help get him and the car around the corner. And that's an act of trust or faith or whatever you want to call it.
He prepared his chance, but when it was there, he took it. And when you want to correct it, no way. That was a crash, you know. So in the end of the day, when you saw the yellow helmet, you know you're in troubles.
I always thought that he was just too intense about winning, and he actually believed that he had a God-given right to win.
You think you have a limit. As soon as you touch this limit, something happens and you suddenly can go a little bit further. With your mind power, your determination, your instinct, and the experience as well, you can fly very high.
Ayrton Senna's talent, commitment, and determination carried him beyond normal boundaries. He displayed a supreme ability behind the wheel of a racing car, but he also demonstrated an immense depth of character, of thought, and of emotion. His tremendous rivalry with Alain Prost throughout the late 80s and early 90s extracted every element of his genius. But if there was one area where Senna truly flew high, it was racing in the rain.
His precision in the wet, it was just unbelievable. He just filled the car so much more. In the wet, you have to be very precise. You cannot make any judder with the steering. Or you got to be much more gently with it. And Ayrton filled the car much more than any other driver.
First of all, looking out of my commentary box window, I saw the worst weather that I have ever seen at any race anywhere in the world. And it was rather embarrassing to me as an Englishman that everybody who thinks that it always rains the whole time in England was getting their suspicions proved.
Ayrton was always very, very fast when it was wet. And this day we had a little bit everything for him and a little bit everything against us to look stupid. We employed somebody for the weather forecast, you know, and he was at the airport, close to the track at Donington, and we were in permanent contact with him, you know. So we started the race, and then he was saying to us, I mean, not to me, not to the engineers, that you know, we had a shower and a big shower, so we had a few spots, and then I stopped for the tires, and then we had just a few stops, and then dry, you know. And then every time he was saying something, it was the opposite. And I had the sad record of 7 times changing tires, but 6 times in the wrong way anyway, you know.
He was already pissed off anyway all the year about to having this engine, this Ford engine in his McLaren, because he wants to fight for the championship, and through the numbers he know that he's not going to fight for the championship. So all what he could do is to wait for special circumstance, and then to show everybody again what he can do. And that was a special circumstance. And all what he want to, he puts in his head, in the first lap, he's going to come back first, you know, because he's going to make everybody stupid. And that's exactly what he did.
It was making me hold my breath. And I were having a job to get my breath at the best of times. You just thought, well, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It can't stay like this. It's bound to go off. And there he did, kept going and going and going. Nobody knew where anybody was.
I remember the spray as he went. When everyone else was cautiously going around thinking, ooh, I better be careful, he just went, go. And he was off. Gone. It was brilliant, but he knew he could do that.
I was there, and it's the other end of the pitch to give the trophy away, and I should have still been in hospital till the following Tuesday with heart problem I had. But when I got onto the podium, you'd forgot all about you were ill. You felt 18 years of age. To see the happy face he'd got, it was unbelievable.
His roots were firmly grounded in the sprawling steel-making city of São Paulo, the industrial heartland of Brazil. Here, amid the energy and bustle of South American commerce, Ayrton developed his talents on the kart track at Interlagos and began a collection of trophies that would become greatly cherished by his close-knit family.
O Ayrton sempre foi uma pessoa extremamente determinada. Ele sabia exatamente o que ele queria e ele ia atrás daquilo até conseguir. Ele era extremamente persistente. Quando ele era pequeno, a gente chamava ele de teimoso, porque ele ia assim até o fim, aonde ele queria chegar.
De criança eu lembro muito a época que ele corria, que ele treinava de kart, da época que ele inclusive foi viajar para fora, e nas vezes que ele fez para fora para correr em campeonatos de kart, eram viagens rápidas, mas que sempre tinha uma expectativa muito grande de que resultado que ele ia obter, e sempre teve, cada ano ele tinha resultados muito positivos. Então as minhas recordações são muito ligadas a isso, porque a vida dele era muito, muito ligada ao automobilismo. Desde que eu nasci, desde que eu me lembro, ele já andava de kart quando eu nasci.
Before long, kart racers in Brazil and all around the world became all too aware of the driver in the yellow helmet.
O Ayrton, eu conheci ele quando era um garoto de kart, ele era piloto de kart. Mas na época eu já pintava para o Emerson Fittipaldi, que era bicampeão mundial de Fórmula 1, para o Nelson Piquet, que já estava na Fórmula 1, então ele queria criar a sua identidade também. Então eu resolvi, pensando em colocar uma cor quente no capacete, como a Ferrari, que é vermelha, pintei ele de amarelo, certo? Com duas faixas saindo em verde e azul, saindo como se fossem os olhos dele, porque dá movimento e dá agressividade também. Então assim foi feito e foi composto as cores do país, em verde, amarelo, azul e branco. Quando Ayrton retornou, ele quis adotar essa pintura, que ficou para sempre a pintura dele. Foi isso aí.
I know him since long time ago, because we did 2 World Karting Championship together in Le Mans and Estoril, 78 and 79. So this goes back to the very, very old days. And he was very, very committed. He had this, this star, these eyes. He was exceptionally committed, I think, more than anybody else.
A gente sempre foi uma família super unida, e quando Ayrton foi morar na Inglaterra, todos nós sentimos muito, e ele também, né, a falta, a distância. Então a gente muitas vezes ia para lá, ou quando ele podia vir, para poder ter essa proximidade maior. Ele escrevia muito. Cada corrida que ele fazia, ele escrevia detalhando cada curva, cada coisa que ele tinha feito. A gente tem essas cartas até hoje, e mesmo à distância, o contato sempre foi muito, muito próximo. Como o Ayrton, quando foi para lá, ele não sabia inglês, então ele ficava em frente da televisão, horas e horas, tentando entender o que estava se passando, procurando aprender a língua e se concentrando. Ele também não sabia cozinhar, nunca soube, e na verdade ele passou alguns anos comendo ovo frito, ovo cozido, ovo mexido, todos os tipos de ovos possíveis e imagináveis, porque era o que ele conseguia fazer.
Quando o Ayrton me procurou, em 1984, em janeiro, ele tinha muita preocupação com o preparo físico, com a sua saúde, porque ele era muito magro, uma pessoa realmente fraca, e era até chamado o franzino Ayrton Senna pela mídia. Nós iniciamos um trabalho, percebemos a vontade férrea que ele tinha de buscar ser mais forte, mais resistente. Era uma pessoa que tinha uma força interior muito grande, porque ele não media esforços. Se alguém perguntar qual a diferença do Ayrton, é esse fazer. Porque saber de cabeça é não saber nada. E eu falava muito para ele isso. Ayrton, o sábio não é o que sabe, o sábio é o que faz aquilo que sabe.
It's not simply a stronger muscle or a better tonus in your muscle, but it's really the power, the strength you get, physically speaking, you know, to your body, but also to your mind. And you only really learn by doing it, I believe. Once I realized that there was something special in there, I really focused and try to learn about myself, because it's basically learning about yourself, learning about your own limitations, learning about your strengths, your qualities, and trying to make as a whole a smoother person.
I don't remember exactly, but certainly in 1983 I was very much aware of him in Formula 3 in England, and he was very persistent, about winning. He was very good at that already that early in his career, but very persistent about trying to persuade Patrick and myself to let him test. I was first driving a Grand Prix car in a Formula 1 car.
That first drive came at Donington Park in England, at the wheel of the Williams FW08C, the model of car that had taken Keke Rosberg to victory in Monaco earlier the same year.
Ayrton turned up, made himself comfortable in the cockpit, remembered all the instructions about what everything was for in the cockpit.
At the time, he was only halfway through his first season of Formula 3, but he was totally undaunted by the Grand Prix car with triple the power of his usual mount.
I set off, did what we call an out and a straight back in lap to check over the car mechanically. And then over the next 21 laps, I think it was, he just went off a second quicker than the car had ever been around there. And then said, I think that's all right, I've got enough in my head, got out of the car and went home. So we were quite astonished. In that particular day, it was obvious that his brain was in total control of everything else, was just ahead of the game, clearly belonged in a Grand Prix car. He was born for that, if you like. We weren't ready to put him in the team in '84, partly for contractual obligations to other drivers. And then he went off to Lotus and then to McLaren. So it was quite a long while before we were able to offer him a seat, which was for '94.
When he went to Tolman, it was fantastic to see another Brazilian driving. I mean, by instinct, I was always more of a fan of Ayrton than I had with any other Brazilian Formula One. I never had the chance to see Emerson, but I had the chance to see Nelson. With Ayrton, it was different. I felt like, you know, he was